collected pictures. Because when I used to go on all my different holidays to Carnival in Trinidad and things of that nature, I used to say that no picture can capture the experience that I had. So I never took pictures. So it's only nowadays I'm beginning to understand why pictures are more important. And they become more important because of an incident that happened with me. I went away on a residential for black men. And at that residential, before going to the residential, they asked everybody to bring a picture of their fathers. And I couldn't find a picture of my father. I didn't have a picture of my father. Right? And I searched in England, brothers who are here, other family members who are here, have they got a picture of my father? They didn't have a picture of my father either. And the only place I remembered a picture of my father was in America, in my youngest brother's home. He had a picture on his mantelpiece. And I sent to him to send me an electronic copy of that picture, hoping it would come quickly, so I could then take the picture of my father to the residential. Alas, it didn't come in time for me when I was attending the residential, but it triggered off a thought in me in regards to the relationship I had with my father and why I didn't have this picture. And when I eventually received this picture and I looked at that picture, a whole set of emotions came up within me, and I wrote a poem in relation to my father, which I'll probably share a little bit later on, but that's not the significance of these pictures. The significance of these pictures is that it then stimulated in me a reason to collect pictures. Right? So, because there were many important people in my life that I didn't have any representation of them with me. I think the only two pictures that I walked around consistently with was the picture of my two sons, Kamal, Hizzy and Kwame. So in all different kind of places I would have those pictures, whether it's in key rings or wallets or whatever. I have those pictures and walked around with them. And the first picture I did was, I collected these set of photographs, and right in the middle, and I think that's kind of deliberately, is my father. You can see he's almost as handsome as I am. Okay. And all around, there's lots of family and friends or people close to family who recall a whole set of different stories about who I am. And when I did this, it just made me feel that I was kind of whole again. Yeah, that I had all these people around me, and except for these up here, I think nearly everybody else is still alive. All right, so that made an important connection for me. And the beautiful thing about all of this is that many of these pictures came from a woman in the other set of pictures which I have with me, which is this one. And it came from my grandmother when she died. Because interestingly, although I didn't have this great feeling for pictures, one of the things that she left me was her pictures. All right, and I'm thinking, well, why would she have left me her pictures? Is that something that she wanted me to have for any particular kind of reason? And one of the kind of big changing points in my own life, and something else which I've written a story about, was I call it a conflict that I had with my grandmother. My grandmother is one of these people who I saw as being extremely religious, right? And in a sense, probably after the age of 60 or so, was when she came to England. In a sense, I just felt that it's only religion that kept her alive, or belief or faith in God kept her alive. And she used to go around the house saying her prayers and speaking in tongues. And anybody who came in had to partake of holy water. Right? Otherwise, you know, you'd be in big trouble. And seeing I was 18, 19, becoming revolutionary and had no time for God anymore, I came in one day and told my grandmother, she invited me to partake of some of this holy water, that I wasn't going to take it. And almost as the words came out of my mouth, the water poured over me. I just thought I was going to burn up into ashes. And I had to really kind of take a grip on myself that I wasn't melting. that I was still here. Because what you don't realize in that moment is you've taken on so much of the beliefs which are around you, that even though you're thinking you've gone on another path, anytime you come into confrontation with those ideas which you once held, it causes you to shudder. And that I came through it, you know, made me feel stronger, but it also helped me to recognize how strong my granny was too still. And I think it's that kind of relationship that we had all through life. But up here is my great-grandmother at the top. Right? We just call her Ma. Right? And she was just, as far as I'm concerned, charge of the community. Everybody in the village called her Ma, and everybody went to this woman, you know, when things weren't going right. And this is one of her daughters, and it's always amazing when I say it. She had 20 children. Not my grandmother, my great-grandma had 20 children. 4 sets of twins.
Oh.
Yeah. Wait, so you want to go there? That's a lot of work. That's my grandmother. Alright. Yes. And in this picture here is my grandmother, my mother as a child, and my uncle as a baby. And it's just kind of recalling stories. This is my mother's sister, and really my aunt, and she's really my second mother, right? Because when my mum left to come to England, it's really this mother that looked after me. This is my father's brother, Frankie. You met him last time. You probably met him for the first time when we went to Trinidad last year. And this picture is a picture that I just used to look on the wall in Trinidad and just marvel at it, because it's my eldest brother.
I see.
Right? He had left to Trinidad, and I know you can't imagine it now, but I was as skinny as Vic. I was as skinny as me. And I used to look and see how fat and fulsome he had become since he had left Trinidad to be in England. But I'm sure it's just clothes that's packed up underneath this to keep out the cold and the snow. And I just used to say, you know, look how big he's become, because he always looked big in my eyes. And I wouldn't meet him again. In a sense, it'll be probably 6 years before I would see him again after he left Trinidad. And I've put this in at the bottom. He's a brother that came after me, so he's not an elder in a sense. But I was telling somebody yesterday when I was also sharing these pictures at one of the schools with the children. He's a brother at the moment who I'm having the most contention with, and I'm keeping him here amongst these great people, so to speak, so I don't lose sight that, you know, we have an important relationship, and even though we're struggling with what's going on at the present time, he's still very much part of this family that I belong to. So those are the images. I had one other thing, but I'll play that a bit later because I think it can fit into something. It's a record called Progress. And that record was made something about 30 years ago. And I still think it's so relevant to how we're living now. And it's so relevant to how I was then, in the sense that I use it as part of a training course, looking at issues which were confronting us as humans in the world, so to speak. and I just wanted to show you how it is still relevant, the words that I used in that particular piece of music.
Is it mine?
Well, you?
It's by
Oh, sorry.
it's not by me. No, it's by something
ready?
named King Austin.
Oh, sorry.
It's called Progress. Before you
No, I've not heard it. Parents.
Okay, so that's my story. That's my story about what I've brought with me today. And of course I brought myself.
Can I just ask, you know the collection of your pictures?
The connecting one.
Those pictures you have there, you've shown us your great-grandmother, your grandmother and your auntie, but do you have a picture of your mom at all?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I've got a
Maybe.
picture of my mum as a child.
Yeah?
And I've got a picture of my mum in these other pictures.
Okay.
Can you just talk us through those pictures then?
Not really, that'll take too long.
Can I-
Still, go on.
Sorry, I just noticed something. That it's mostly you kept the women. Why is there a reason for that, or do you just not have pictures of your grandparents, your grandfather and great grandfather?
One is those are the pictures that I have.
Yeah.
And I think too that the women have been the significant people.
Yeah.
Big time.
I thought so.
Yeah.
I like to ask too.
I suppose that was so hard to find a picture of Debbie.